Lieutenant John Carter stared at his monitor and frowned. The energy readings didn't make sense. He checked the equipment again, tapping the side of the screen as if that might fix the strange data. "Something wrong, Lieutenant?" asked Petty Officer Ryan Miller, looking up from his own station. "These readings from Sector 17, they're unlike anything I've seen before." John pointed at the pulsing anomaly on his screen. "It's at the edge of our solar system, but it's giving off energy signatures that don't match any known vessel." Ryan walked over and looked at the screen. "Could be a sensor malfunction. We've been having issues with that array all week." "Maybe," John said, but he didn't believe it. He had been monitoring deep space for 5 years, and his instincts told him this was different. "I'm going to report it anyway." 20 minutes later, John stood at attention in Admiral Lisa Wright's office. The Admiral was a stern woman with gray-streaked hair who had served in Earth's Space Defense Force for over 30 years. "So you're telling me there's an unknown vessel lurking at the edge of our solar system?" she asked, looking skeptical. "Yes, ma'am. The energy signature doesn't match anything in our database." Admiral Wright sighed. "Lieutenant Carter, we've had 3 false alarms this month due to equipment malfunctions. Engineering is stretched thin as it is." "But, Mom, I'll have someone look into it," she said in a tone that made it clear the conversation was over. "In the meantime, run a full diagnostic on your sensor array." John left the office feeling frustrated. He knew what he saw wasn't a malfunction. Far beyond Neptune, where the solar system gave way to interstellar space, a sleek vessel hung motionless. Its hull was the color of deep space, absorbing light rather than reflecting it. Inside, beings that had never set foot on Earth observed the blue planet with cold calculation. "The humans have detected our scout ship," said Overlord Zixaw of the Hegemony. "Their technology is more advanced than we anticipated." "They detected the scout, but they haven't acted on it," replied Commander Frel. "Their military response protocols appear sluggish." The Hegemony had ruled over 17 species across this arm of the galaxy. Each new civilization they encountered faced the same choice: join or be conquered. Earth would be no different. "Prepare the diplomatic envoy," Zixaw ordered. "We will follow standard protocol. Offer them the opportunity to join the Hegemony peacefully." "And if they refuse?" asked Frel. "Then we add another species to our collection." Zixaw's mouthparts clicked in what passed for a smile among his kind. Their conversation halted when an alarm sounded throughout the ship. A tactical officer called out, "Unidentified vessel detected at coordinates 227 to 34,891. "Show me," ordered Zixaw. The main screen displayed a ship unlike any they had seen before. It was clearly of human design. The angles and proportions matched their known aesthetic, but the technology it displayed was impossible. The energy readings were off the charts. "That cannot be human technology," Vrel said. "Our intelligence suggests they are at least a century away from such capabilities." "Approach it," ordered Zixaw. "Prepare scanning beams." The Hegemony vessel moved toward the mysterious ship, charging its sensors to gather data on this unexpected development. But as they closed distance, something impossible happened. The ship simply vanished. "Where did it go?" demanded Zixaw. "Unknown, Overlord. No jump signature detected. No warp field. It's as if it ceased to exist." Back on Earth, Lieutenant John Carter was running the demanded diagnostic when his system chimed with a new alert. For just 3 seconds, an enormous energy spike had appeared at the edge of the solar system, and then disappeared. He immediately sent the data to Admiral Wright with a simple message: "This is not a malfunction." In her office, Admiral Wright stared at the new readings with growing concern. Perhaps John had been right. She picked up her secure phone and dialed a number few people knew existed. "This is Admiral Wright. We may have a situation. Code Yellow. I need to speak with the Joint Chiefs immediately." Whatever was out there, humanity needed to be ready. Samantha Powell wiped sweat from her forehead as she examined the propulsion system diagrams on her tablet. The air conditioning in Luna Base's engineering section always seemed to malfunction when she had the most work to do. "These numbers don't add up," she muttered to herself. As the lead engineer on the classified XN7 propulsion project, she knew every bolt and circuit. Something was wrong. For the third time this month, materials had disappeared from the inventory without proper documentation. 20 tons of a rare titanium alloy, specialized computer chips, and experimental fuel cells, all gone without explanation. "Hey Sam, still working?" Her colleague Ben Howard poked his head around the corner. "Something's off with our supply chain," she said. "We're missing materials that nobody has signed out." Ben shrugged. "Probably just admin errors. You know how the bean counters are." "Maybe," she said, but she didn't believe it. The missing supplies were all cutting-edge components, exactly what you'd need to build an advanced spacecraft. 300 miles away in Washington, D.C., defense analyst Kevin Mitchell stared at satellite data on his computer. As part of Earth's orbital security team, he monitored all traffic in near-Earth space. But lately, he'd found gaps in the surveillance coverage, periods of exactly 17 minutes when certain sectors went dark. "These blind spots shouldn't exist," he told his supervisor, Greg Fisher. "It's like someone is creating deliberate holes in our security net." Greg looked unimpressed. "Systems glitch. It is looking into it." Kevin knew better. The gaps were too precise, too regular. Someone was hiding something. 2 days later, Samantha and Kevin found themselves at the same aerospace conference in Denver. They had never met before, but fate brought them together at the coffee station. "The line for decent coffee is always the longest," Kevin said, making small talk. Samantha nodded, then noticed his conference badge, Orbital Security Division. "You might be the person I need to talk to." They found a quiet corner and shared their discoveries. Kevin's surveillance gaps lined up perfectly with Samantha's missing materials. "Someone's building something in orbit," Kevin said. "Something they don't want on the books." "But who? And why the secrecy?" Samantha asked. Their conversation was interrupted by breaking news on the conference hall screens. A fleet of unusual ships had entered Earth orbit. The hegemony had arrived. The announcement of first contact with an alien civilization sent waves of excitement and fear through humanity. The aliens called themselves the hegemony and claimed to come in peace, offering to share their advanced technology. In their sleek diplomatic vessel orbiting Earth, Overlord Zixa met with human representatives. "Our coalition spans 17 systems," the alien explained through a translator device. "We offer Earth a place among the stars." The human delegates seemed impressed, but military observers like Admiral Wright remained cautious. "They're scanning everything," she told the Joint Chiefs in a secure room. "Their diplomatic vessel has more sensors than a reconnaissance ship." Meanwhile, Zixa reported to his superiors. "The humans are primitive but resourceful. Their most advanced weapons could barely damage our scout ships." "And the mysterious vessel you encountered?" asked the Supreme Overlord. "We've detected no sign of it since. It may have been an experimental prototype, or perhaps a ship from another spacefaring race. Proceed with standard protocol. Assess their capabilities fully before we decide whether to offer true membership or conquest." Back on Earth, Samantha and Kevin had taken their findings to Captain Daniel Brooks, a mid-level officer with a reputation for asking difficult questions. "So you believe someone is building a secret spacecraft in orbit?" Daniel asked, looking skeptical but interested. "Not just any spacecraft," Samantha said. "Based on the materials taken, it would have to be the most advanced ship humanity has ever built." "But why now?" Kevin asked. "Why the rush to build it in secret, right when aliens show up?" Daniel's expression darkened. Unless it wasn't a coincidence. Unless someone knew they were coming. The three looked at each other as the implications sank in. "We need to see this ship," Daniel said finally. "Whatever it is." Captain Daniel Brooks led Samantha and Kevin through the busy hallways of the Pentagon. Their visitor badges earned them curious glances from military personnel. "I've arranged access to a restricted surveillance feed," Daniel whispered. "If there is a secret ship being built, we might see it there." In a small monitoring room, Daniel logged into a terminal with his security clearance. The screen showed various orbital facilities circling Earth. There, Kevin pointed to a section of space that appeared empty. "That's one of the blind spots I told you about." Daniel typed a series of commands. "I'm accessing an old weather satellite that isn't on the main grid. It might give us a different angle." The screen flickered, then showed what should have been empty space. Instead, they saw a massive structure. It was clearly a warship, but unlike any they had seen before. Its design was sleek yet powerful, with weapon systems that looked decades beyond current technology. "That's impossible," Samantha gasped. "We don't have the technology to build that." "And yet there it is," Daniel said. "And those missing materials you tracked? I bet they went into this ship." Kevin checked the coordinates. "It's in a perfect position to remain hidden from standard tracking systems. Someone went to great lengths to keep this secret." Their discovery was interrupted by the door slamming open. Security Officer Maria Garcia entered with 2 armed guards, their weapons drawn. "Step away from the terminal," Maria ordered. "You're accessing restricted information." Daniel stood slowly. "Officer Garcia, I can explain." "Save it for the director," she said coldly. "All of you come with me." They were escorted to a shuttle and flown to an orbital station. Through the window, Samantha caught glimpses of the mysterious warship they had discovered. Up close, it was even more impressive, its hull gleaming with an unusual metal that seemed to absorb light. The shuttle docked, and they were led through pristine corridors to a large office. Behind a desk sat Dr. Alan Bennett, a thin man with tired eyes and rumpled clothes. "So you found our little project," he said without preamble. "I'm not surprised. We knew we couldn't keep it secret forever." "What is that ship?" Daniel demanded. "Who authorized its construction?" Dr. Bennett sighed. "The ship is called the U.S. Defiance. As for who authorized it," he paused, "that's complicated." Meanwhile, aboard their command ship, the hegemony leaders reviewed their findings about Earth. "Their technology is primitive," Vrel reported to Overlord Zixah. "Their most advanced weapons could not penetrate our standard shields." "Their social structure is divided," another officer added. "Their nations still compete with each other. They will not mount a unified defense." Zixah clicked his mandibles in satisfaction. "Then we proceed with conquest rather than alliance. Prepare the invasion fleet. We will take this world with minimal resistance." "What about the unknown vessel we detected earlier?" Vrel asked. "A single ship, if it even exists, poses no threat to our armada." Zixah dismissed the concern. "Send the signal. The invasion begins in 3 Earth days." Back on the orbital station, Dr. Bennett was showing Daniel, Samantha, and Kevin around the Defiance. Its interior was as advanced as its exterior, with systems they couldn't begin to understand. "The truth is," Bennett said as they entered what appeared to be the bridge, "we didn't build this ship. We found it." "Found it?" Samantha asked in disbelief. "Where?" 3 years ago, it appeared in Earth orbit, badly damaged but intact. At first, we thought it was alien, but then we found this." He pointed to a plate on the wall. It read USD-FIANC with a manufacturing date that made no sense. July 17, 2098. "This ship," Bennett said quietly, "comes from our future." The 3 visitors stared in shock as the implications hit them. "But if it's from the future," Kevin finally said, "why is it here now?" Dr. Bennett's expression turned grim. "We believe it was sent back for one purpose: to save Earth from what's coming." Samantha ran her hand along the smooth metal of the Defiance's control panel. Everything about the ship felt both familiar and alien, human design principles taken to their logical conclusion after decades of advancement. "When we found it," Dr. Bennett continued, "the ship was badly damaged, Parts of the hull were torn open. The crew was gone. What happened to them? Daniel asked. We don't know, but the ship's eye was partially intact. Kevin looked up sharply. AI. We don't have that technology yet. Exactly, Dr. Bennett said. The ship is filled with technology we're decades away from developing. Propulsion systems that can bend spacetime, weapons that can target objects faster than light, and an AI system integrated into every part of the ship. He led them to a sealed room at the center of the vessel. Inside was a glowing blue sphere pulsing with light. This is what remains of the Defiance's AI core. Most of its memory was corrupted, but one directive remained clear: protect Earth from the hegemony invasion of 2025. Daniel looked stunned. That's this year. Yes, and 3 days after we found the ship, the hegemony arrived, Bennett said grimly. We believe the Defiance was sent back in time as a warning and a weapon. But how is that possible? Samantha asked. We don't fully understand it ourselves. What we do know is that we've been reverse engineering its technology for 3 years, trying to make it operational again. Have you succeeded? Kevin asked. Partially. We've restored about 60% of its systems, but we're still working blind in many ways. Maria, who had been silent until now, spoke up. Show them the manufacturing dates. Dr. Bennett nodded and brought up a holographic display showing various components of the ship. Each had production dates ranging from 2035 to 2097. These parts span over 60 years of future human technology, Bennett explained. But here's where it gets truly bizarre. He zoomed in on one component. This propulsion system has our own engineering division stamp on it. But look at the signature. Samantha gasped. It was her own name on the blueprint, dated 2039. In the original timeline, you helped build this ship, Bennett said quietly. Or rather, you will help build it. This is a temporal paradox, Kevin realized. We're reverse engineering technology from the future, which means we'll eventually build this same ship and send it back in time, and create the very technology we're studying now, Daniel finished. It's a loop. An alarm suddenly blared throughout the ship. Maria rushed to a console. The hegemony fleet has just jumped into the solar system, she reported. Multiple vessels approaching Earth. On the main screen, they watched in horror as dozens of alien ships materialized near Mars. They were massive, dwarfing Earth's defensive fleet. They're early, Bennett said, his face pale. Our intelligence suggested we had 3 more days. How many ships? Daniel asked. 47, each one capable of destroying a small country. Admiral Wright's face appeared on a communication screen. Dr. Bennett, the Joint Chiefs have authorized deployment of the Defiance. Is it ready? Bennett hesitated. It's only partially operational. We haven't completed weapons testing or. We don't have a choice, Wright cut him off. Our conventional forces are outmatched. The Defiance is our only hope. Bennett turned to Daniel, Samantha, Kevin, and Maria. None of you were supposed to be here, but now I need you. Our crew is limited, and you all have skills we need. You want us to crew an experimental ship from the future? Kevin asked incredulously. I want you to help save humanity, Bennett replied. The ship chose to appear now, when we needed it most. Maybe you 4 are part of that plan. Daniel straightened his shoulders. I'm in. Me too, Samantha said, looking at the blueprint with her future signature. Kevin and Maria nodded their agreement. Then let's go, Bennett said, heading for the bridge. We have a future to save, or perhaps create. The bridge of the U.S. Defiance hummed with nervous energy as the skeleton crew took their positions. Dr. Bennett had assigned them roles based on their skills. Daniel as acting captain, Samantha at engineering, Kevin at tactical, and Maria at communications. Power systems at 62%, Samantha reported, studying the unfamiliar controls. Weapons at 58%, shields at 75%. It'll have to be enough, Daniel said. Through the view screen, They watched Earth's conventional fleet move to intercept the Hegemony Armada. The human ships looked tiny and fragile compared to the massive alien vessels. "Comms are open with Earth Defense Command," Maria announced. "Admiral Wright is coordinating our approach." Wright's voice came through clearly. "Captain Brooks, hold the Defiance in reserve until we gauge their capabilities. We're sending in our first wave." Daniel acknowledged the order, though he felt sick watching Earth's best ships advance against the overwhelming alien force. It was like sending rowboats against battleships. The battle began with brilliant flashes of light. Earth's fleet fired everything they had: nuclear missiles, railguns, laser arrays. Most of the weapons didn't even reach their targets, stocked by invisible energy fields surrounding the Hegemony ships. "They're not even bothering to return fire," Kevin observed grimly. "They're just letting our attacks fail." When the Hegemony finally did respond, it was devastating. Green beams lanced out from their lead vessels, cutting through Earth ships like paper. In less than 5 minutes, half of humanity's space fleet was destroyed or disabled. "This is a slaughter," Daniel whispered. Admiral Wright's face appeared on screen again, her expression grim. "Defiance, you're up. Do whatever you can. We're out of options." Daniel took a deep breath. "Samantha, bring all power systems to maximum. Kevin, ready all weapons. Maria, open a channel to our remaining ships to coordinate." As they moved the Defiance forward, the ship's systems suddenly surged. The lights dimmed, then brightened. The blue sphere of the AI core pulsed rhythmically. "Something's happening," Samantha said, looking at her readouts. "The AI is activating additional systems we didn't even know existed." A synthetic voice echoed through the bridge. "Threat assessment. Hegemony invasion fleet detected. Primary directive activated. Protect Earth. Combat protocols engage." Screens lit up with targeting data. Weapons they hadn't been able to access came online. "The ship's waking up," Kevin said in awe. "It's fighting the battle for us." The Defiance accelerated toward the Hegemony fleet with impossible speed. On the enemy command ship, Overlord Zixah noticed the approaching vessel. "What is that small ship doing?" he asked, more curious than concerned. "It matches the profile of the unknown vessel we detected earlier," Vrel replied. "Energy readings are unusual but not threatening." "Destroy it as an example," Zixah ordered casually. 3 Hegemony warships turned their weapons on the Defiance. Green energy beams stabbed toward the human vessel, only to be absorbed by shields that glowed with blue light. The Defiance didn't slow down. Instead, its weapons ports opened, revealing systems that seemed to bend the space around them. "What is happening?" Zixah demanded as his tactical display showed confusion. The Defiance fired, not beams or missiles, but pulses that seemed to distort reality itself. When they struck the Hegemony ships, sections of the alien vessels simply ceased to exist, as if that space had been removed from reality. "Impossible," Vrel shouted. "Those are temporal displacement weapons. The humans cannot have such technology." 3 Hegemony ships were disabled in seconds. The rest began to reposition, suddenly taking this lone human vessel seriously. On the Defiance's bridge, the crew watched in amazement as their ship outmaneuvered everything the aliens threw at them. The AI seemed to predict enemy movements before they happened. The AI knows their tactics, Daniel realized. It's fought them before, in the future. "Warning," the synthetic voice announced. "Power reserves at 43% and declining. Full combat capability limited to 17 minutes at current engagement level." Daniel looked at his makeshift crew. "Then we need to make those minutes count. Target their command ship. Let's show the Hegemony they picked the wrong planet to invade." The Defiance turned toward the largest alien vessel, its weapons charging for another attack. The Defiance weaved through enemy fire with impossible precision. The massive Hegemony command ship loomed ahead, its weapons charging to destroy the troublesome human vessel. "All remaining power to forward shields and main weapons," Daniel ordered. "Diverting power now," Samantha confirmed, her fingers dancing across the controls that somehow felt increasingly familiar to her. The AI's voice spoke again. Accessing tactical database. Hegemony command vessels contain a structural weakness at junction point Alpha 7. Targeting now. Kevin watched in amazement as the weapons display highlighted a specific point on the alien flagship, a spot that looked identical to the rest of the hull to his eyes. "How does it know that?" he whispered. "Future knowledge," Maria replied. "The AI remembers wars that haven't happened yet." The Defiance shuddered as it took a direct hit from one of the smaller hegemony vessels. "Shields at 41%, Samantha reported. "Another hit like that, and we'll have problems." On the enemy command ship, Overlord Zixaw was no longer dismissive of the human vessel. He watched with growing concern as the impossible ship destroyed 3 more of his vessels. "All ships, concentrate fire on that vessel," he commanded. "Whatever it is, it must be destroyed." "Overlord," Vrel said hesitantly, "I've analyzed their attack patterns. The weapons signatures match classified reports from the Arcturian conflict." "Impossible," Zixaw hissed. "That conflict occurs 50 cycles in the future." "Nevertheless, the data matches. This ship should not exist in this timeline." Before Zixaw could respond, the bridge rocked violently. Warning lights flashed everywhere. "Direct hit to Junction Alpha 7, a tactical officer shouted. "How did they know about the reinforcement gap?" "All ships, destroy that vessel at any cost," Zixaw roared. Back on the Defiance, the AI suddenly projected a holographic figure onto the bridge, a flickering, transparent human form in a uniform none of them recognized. "Add memory core partially restored," the synthetic voice announced. "Historical data accessible." The hologram spoke, its voice distorted. "If you're seeing this, then the temporal mission was successful." "I am, will be, Captain Eric Daniels of the U.S. Defiance, year 2098. The crew stared in shock at the future captain. "In my timeline, the hegemony invasion of 2025 succeeded. Earth fell within weeks. Billions died. The survivors formed a resistance that fought for over 70 years. The hologram flickered, parts of the message corrupted. Discovered their technology could be defeated using temporal. Built the Defiance as humanity's last hope. Sending it back was a desperate gamble." The hologram stabilized momentarily. "The ship contains complete schematics for all the technology you'll need to win this war. You must protect the data core at all costs." The message began breaking up again. "Paradox protocol enters. Change the timeline. Save Earth." The hologram vanished as the ship took another hit. "Power reserves at 29%, the AI announced. "Critical systems failing." Dr. Bennett's voice came through on the comm channel. "Captain Brooks, I've been monitoring the AI's data stream. The core contains blueprints for everything. Weapons, shields, faster than light drives. If we can get this ship back to Earth intact, we can begin mass-producing the technology." Daniel looked at the tactical display. The hegemony command ship was damaged, but still operational, and 20 more enemy vessels were closing in. "We won't survive another concentrated attack," Kevin warned. Daniel made a decision. "Dr. Bennett, begin downloading everything you can from the AI core. Samantha, give him direct access to the engineering systems." "What are you planning?" Maria asked. "Something crazy," Daniel replied, then opened a channel to all remaining Earth forces. "This is Captain Brooks of the U.S. Defiance. We are going to open a path to the hegemony command ship. All vessels capable of firing, prepare to concentrate on the target coordinates we're sending." He turned to his crew. "The future sent us this ship for a reason. Now we show the hegemony why they should have left Earth alone." The Defiance surged forward, its engines glowing with unnatural light as it prepared for what might be its final attack. The Defiance shot toward the damaged hegemony command ship like a bullet. Behind it, Earth's remaining vessels followed in formation, ready to strike on Daniel's command. "Power reserves at 17%, the AI warned. Weapons capacity limited. We only need one good shot, Daniel said, his eyes fixed on the target. Samantha, how's the download going? Dr. Bennett reports 73% of the core data transferred, she replied. He needs 3 more minutes for a complete download. We don't have 3 minutes, Kevin said, pointing to the tactical display where enemy ships were converging on their position. Daniel nodded grimly. Then we make time. Maria broadcast on all frequencies, including the hegemonies. Maria opened the channel. Ready, Captain. Daniel stood tall, his voice steady. This is Captain Daniel Brooks of the U.S. Defiance to all hegemony forces. You came to our world thinking we were primitive and weak. You thought conquest would be easy. You were wrong. On the enemy command ship, Overlord Zixa listened with growing rage. This is not just one advanced ship, Daniel continued. This is humanity's first line of defense. We have a fleet of these vessels hidden throughout our solar system, waiting for my signal to attack. He's bluffing, Vrel said. Our scans would have detected other ships. Zixa wasn't so sure. The one human vessel had already done impossible damage. Daniel pressed his advantage. You have one chance to retreat. Leave our solar system now, or face complete destruction. Download at 85%, Samantha whispered. The Defiance's weapons powered up again, targeting the already damaged section of the hegemony command ship. Zixa hesitated. Standard protocol dictated continuing the attack, but nothing about this encounter had followed standard patterns. The human ship is powering weapons again, a tactical officer reported. Energy readings are off the scale. In truth, the Defiance was channeling its last reserves into what would look like a massive weapons charge, though the actual output would be minimal. 90% downloaded, Samantha reported. The tense standoff stretched for seconds that felt like hours. Then something unexpected happened. A second energy signature appeared near Earth's moon, then a third by Mars. What is that? Kevin asked, staring at the readings. Unknown, the AI responded. Temporal anomalies detected. Space rippled in multiple locations across the solar system. Shimmering distortions appeared, resolving into ships, human ships with designs similar to the Defiance, but even more advanced. More ships from the future, Maria whispered in awe. Admiral Wright's voice came through the comm, filled with shock. Captain Brooks, are you seeing this? We're counting 7 new vessels of unknown origin. Daniel was as surprised as everyone else, but didn't let it show in his voice. As I said, Overlord Zixa, this was just our first line of defense. On the hegemony command ship, panic spread through the bridge. Multiple vessels detected, all with energy signatures matching or exceeding the first human ship. Zixa stared at the tactical display in disbelief. This was impossible. The humans couldn't have this technology, and yet the evidence was right before him. Signal the retreat, he ordered quietly. All vessels, withdraw from the system. One by one, the hegemony ships began to turn away from Earth, jumping to faster-than-light travel. The command ship was the last to leave, with Zixa sending a final message. This is not over, humans. As the enemy fleet disappeared, shears erupted across Earth's defense network. On the Defiance, Daniel collapsed into the captain's chair, exhausted but relieved. Download complete, Samantha announced. Dr. Bennett has all the data. What about those other ships? Kevin asked, pointing to the mysterious vessels now holding position around Earth. The AI spoke. Temporal analysis confirms. Additional ships from multiple future timelines. The paradox effect has cascaded. Dr. Bennett's excited voice came through the comm. You've done it. By successfully using the Defiance, you've created a new timeline. These ships are from alternate futures, futures where Earth not only survived but thrived. Maria looked out at the stars. We changed history. No, Daniel said with a smile. We made history. As the Defiance limped back toward Earth, escorted by ships from futures that hadn't existed hours before, Humanity looked to the stars not with fear, but with hope. The warship that shouldn't exist had done more than save Earth. It had opened the door to a new destiny among the stars.